Hello friends, welcome back to Rajunotes channel, your currently weekend updates. This week we will do the update from 18th of December to 25th of December. Today is a Christmas Eve and wishing you all a very happy and a Merry Christmas and also in advance Happy New Year. This last week has been little okay for our defense sector, so we will initially cover some defense points and then we'll slowly graduate on to the other points. The CADS 500, basically it's a full form of this is the Controlled Aerial Delivery System. This is basically a parachute delivered cargo which lands precisely as per the requirement, and this is a controlled aerial delivery and it has got a capability of 500 kgs. This was successfully tested by DRDO. This helps to retain the maximum amount of stores where it has to fall. Generally, parachutes are controlled by the wind factor and they move left, right, and therefore goes away from the drop zone. But this system helps for a controlled aerial delivery. Yes, there are it is certainly dependent on the weather conditions, but if in case the weather conditions are fine, the parachute can accurately deliver its cargo to the desired place. This week, the DRDO has successfully tested its new generation missile, that is the Agni Prime, off the coast of Odisha. This missile has been, as per the official, has a range of about 1000 to 2000 kilometers, but my guess is it should be somewhere more than that, because now whatever missile systems we are now testing is in view of two front war. One is with the east and one is with the west. So I think the Agni Prime is a much advanced version of what we have seen earlier. This was the second of the Agni Prime's successful test. The first one was conducted in June this year. The DRDO Bengaluru has made a multi-static passive coherent locating radar receiver station with multiple advanced technologies, and this was done under the aegis of Electronics and Radar Development Establishment in Bengaluru. And this passive coherent locating radar receives information from various aerial targets for tracking. It can be active, it can be passive, it can be IR, it can be various other ways by which this radar can track a aerial object. This was inaugurated by Dr. G. Satish Reddy, who is of the DRDO. The Organization for Islamic Cooperation, OIC, has agreed to set up a humanitarian trust fund to serve as a vehicle to channel humanitarian assistance to Afghanistan. Well, we know that Afghanistan is going into a crisis mode. The banking system has collapsed. The funds in the foreign have frozen. There is no administrative setup. The government employees are not coming forward for taking on the jobs. Taliban is persuading them, giving them a lot of offers, but still the country is in crisis. Now Taliban is, as usual, asking for help, and Pakistan, we saw that, was organizing this OIC meet for aiding Taliban. So in this direction, the OIC met, and a fund was rather set up under the aegis of the Islamic Development Bank, and here the OIC countries had asked its member states to donate for the fund. Good news of this week is that Kidambi Srikanth becomes the first Indian in the history to win a silver badminton world championships, and he gave a very tough fight to 28-year-old Loh Ken Yew of Singapore, and he unfortunately lost that match and had to settle down for a silver. Otherwise, it would have been again a history wherein the Indian winning the badminton world championship. Overall, India has secured four silver medals in the history of the badminton championship. Lakshya Sen had bagged a bronze medal in the same championship. The INS Marmuga has proceeded on her maiden sea trial on the occasion of Goa's 60th Liberation Day, which happened this week. The Marmuga is India's second indigenous stealth destroyer of P-15B class. This ship is planned to be commissioned in 2022, and this made its trial sail for the checks and other things. The ship is being built by the Mazagong Dock Shipbuildings Limited, and it is named after the port of Marmuga in Goa. We have seen the armed forces coming to rescue of the citizens at times of crisis. Something similar like this happened this week in Jammu, and about 1/3 of Jammu was totally out of power because around 20,000 employees went on strike, and the administration had to seek in emergency the help of army, and army guys came in, and overnight they restored the electricity in Jammu, and they were maintaining these power stations throughout. And I think after about 4 days or so, the employees called off their strike and they joined back. So this is just one of the things that the armed forces is being called in the recent times in this power outrage. The Odisha Chief Minister Naveen Patnaik had inaugurated the state's longest river bridge over the Mahanadi River at Katak's Gopinathpur. This is a 3.4 kilometer long bridge which connects the Singanath temple and the Vaidishwara. Basically, this 3.5 kilometers bridge will reduce a distance by about 45 kilometers and will enhance the tourism in that place. Overall, good infrastructural developments happening in the country is always good for the country. The next update is something which term rather you should know. We all are very familiar with what a rainbow is, but do you know what a fogbo is? Well, a fogbo was spotted across England. This is a very rare weather phenomenon which happens. It is similar to, in all respects, to that of a rainbow, and when the sunlight interacts with the water droplets and it breaking the white light into the spectrum, and therefore you see a rainbow. But here, instead of the water droplets, the sunlight interacts with the fog, mist or a cloud, and therefore instead of a rainbow it forms a fogbo. So anyone asks you a question what a fogbo is, you don't get zapped, and this is how it forms like a rainbow. Pradhanmantri Street Vendors Atmanirbhar Nidhi, which is also called as PM Swanidhi scheme. Under this scheme, about 3,095 crores have been sanctioned, and approximately about 2,714 crores have been disbursed. And this was told by the Ministry of Housing and the Urban Affairs, and this amount is given to people to start up their own small scale, we call it enterprises, startups, business or whatever it is. The point for me in this update for you is that remember this name Swanidhi. The full form for Swanidhi is Street Vendors Atmanirbhar Nidhi. We all have seen that this week there was a winter session in Parliament. I had made a separate video on what are the bills which have been passed in the winter session. One point which came up and which was a little controversial, probably this will be again fielded in the next session, is that the Union Cabinet Minister for Women and Child Development, Smriti Irani, had introduced the Prohibition of Child Marriage Amendment Bill in Lok Sabha. This amendment bill seeks to raise the legal age of marriage of women, which is presently at 18, to 21, and they wish to get it at a par with that of men. Like men and women will now be marriageable at 21. However, this bill had got a lot of opposition from the opposition party, and it was, as of now, did not go through, but probably this will be fielded in the next session. We all know that iPhone has started producing its phones, rather manufacturing its phones in India. That is iPhone 11, iPhone 12. We already know that. But now iPhone have started manufacturing, rather the trial production of iPhone 13 at the Foxconn plant near Chennai. And the Apple plans to go for a commercial production of this iPhone 13 by February next year. Maybe in just another 2 months we can see iPhone 13 coming in India. So this is a very big shift for us because China was dominating this field. We know that all the iPhones were manufactured stroke assembled in China. Now slowly India is taking that place. The Lakshadweep Education Department declared all Sundays as holidays for schools. Well, what is so great in this? It was news for me also that in Lakshadweep, the schools were given holidays on Fridays, and it was somehow the curriculum was not being followed as per the mainland. So there was a order, GO, which was passed by the Lakshadweep Education Department, and now Lakshadweep will also have all Sundays as holidays for schools with 6 days working, and the erstwhile Friday being holiday is taken off. We have been hearing a lot in the recent news about the alerts which are being issued by Indian Meteorological Department, IMD, wherein they say that it is or red, which is orange, and it is yellow, etc., etc. So what does these alerts mean? It's just an indication. Well, IMD, when it says the alert is green, that means no action is required to be taken, all is well. And when the alert turns yellow, that means the administration is supposed to be on a watch out or a lookout for any kind of a change in the climate. When this the alert turns into orange, we know that there is a severe cold condition, and it will call for the administrators to be prepared for the impending thing which is going to happen. And when the IMD calls red in the winter season, it means that it is a time to take action after a severe cold wave condition persisted for more than 2 days. So you should be aware as to what these conditions are, especially for the winter. This color codes, what does it mean? That was the aim of this update. After much deliberation and speculations, the first S-400 Squadron has been finally made its presence in India, and it has been deployed in the Punjab sector to tackle the aerial threats from China and Pakistan. And as for the defense sources, the system was contracted by India for 35,000 crore deal, and a total of 5 squadrons would be inducted very soon. In addition, India has also successfully test-fired Pralay missile that can strike target up to 500 kilometers. Well, Pralay missile is a quasi, I must say, ballistic missile, and the missile range is about 150 to 500 kilometers, and it can be launched from a mobile launcher, and it has got a very high degree of accuracy, and it follows the control guidance and the mission algorithms and can precisely go and hit a target. After much long study, and we have been covering that the Omicron virus is not so lethal, but now the fresh cases coming in wherein the deaths due to Omicron are possibly increasing, especially in UK, and almost UK is into a state of emergency. The amount of people getting affected in UK is really high, because as we know that Omicron is very transmissible, and a point that it was not lethal is now slowly turning into something likely lethal. So if I am not wrong, just before
about 15-20 minutes back, I think the Prime Minister of India has also addressed the nation and told that people should take care of their health and have a booster dose for the same, and also I think has reduced the vaccination age from 18 to 15. Good news for Indian IT professionals. US has allowed its consular office to waive in-person interviews for the H-1B visas. Well, these applies to the temporary workers applying for the H1, H3, H4, and thereafter LOP and Q visas. Well, these are the different type of visas which are issued by US. However, most of the Indian IT professionals are affected with the H1B visa. So no need to go to the embassies or the consulates for in-person interview. You can, I think, probably get your interview done on a video call. Last time we had discussed as to how and what is the Ashes in the cricket field of cricket. Today, just an update as to what is a Boxing Day test match in cricket. Well, the Boxing Day test match starts on December 26th, primarily at the Australia's Melbourne cricket ground. And according to one of the theory, December 26th came to be known as a Boxing Day as the servants in the Victorian era England were given boxes of gifts a day after the Christmas. And since that day, Australia has been hosting a Boxing Day test every year since 1990. Indian Army has been working on a messaging application for its own users, and this new application has now been launched, which is called as ASIGMA, and the ASIGMA stands for Army Secure Indigenous Messaging Application, and it has been developed by the Corps of Signals and is likely to be working like that of WhatsApp. Well, speculations, we don't know. It is supposed to replace the 15-year-old AVAN, which is called as Army Wide Area Network. Probably the people in defense can tell much better about this. Just today, the world's biggest and the most powerful telescope was launched into space by NASA. We were glued onto TVs to see this live launch, and this world's biggest and most powerful telescope is by the name of James Webb Space Telescope. Well, we all know that its predecessor, Hubble Space Telescope, was the one which was serving for all the kind of a data till date. This telescope, James Webb, will replace it, and this will orbit about 1.5 million kilometers away from Earth, and it is designed to observe a very first galaxy formed about 13.5 billion years ago. It is expected that the Webb telescope will have a lifetime of about 10 years, and it will be prominent to note that it took almost 30 years to design and build this telescope. Hope it gives us a lot of information about the space, probably the early Big Bang theory or some other data which we were not aware of. Well, that is all, friends, in this week's update. I will hope to see you in a very healthy state and healthy conditions back in the new year 2022. Till then, take care, have a very, very happy, and pray that the next year is much, much better than 20 and 21. Thank you, take care, good night.